Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk and my email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. The email address is for inquiries for sessions or copies of the Solar Transmissions album or media inquiries. So I'm up here again today, having just brought out 2 videos yesterday, which is unusual for me, but I have a vast amount of stuff I want to say and share, and it's a bit like being a writer or a painter or any kind of creative kind of channel for energy. When you have that impetus to want to do that, that is in a drive, suddenly you just get up there and you do it. So I'm going to bring 2 out again today. They're going to be fairly short, I anticipate. Who knows when I get started. But the first one is going to be called Who Put the Lights Out? Now, where this is coming from is, if you have followed me for a number of years, you will know that this channel is experiential, which means I only share, talk, teach about aspects of expansion of consciousness, aspects of development, aspects of life and experience, hence the word experiential, that I have lived through, experienced myself personally, and or with thousands of clients over a 20-year period, as I've worked in the arena for 20 years as a medium, clairvoyant, psychic, channeler, let's say specializing in soul expansion, the expansion of consciousness. I have qualifications in hypnotherapy and multiple qualifications in healing. So I only share if I have, let's say, direct from the heart, direct from source, something that is 100% resonates with me, or I have experienced it personally and or professionally. Now, in some ways, I'm going to say that makes me slightly different from some channels, in that I only channel what I know 100% to be something that I resonate with, and I know sound, it's fine. I don't just randomly channel like an antenna picking up on anything and everything. That's not to say other people do that. Some other people do that, and other people have their own, let's say, team, or they work with their higher self, their own team to channel with, and they keep to those regular guys. So sometimes there'll be a difference to that occasionally. If it's applicable, I'll tune my waveband because something has come to light, literally, and it is beneficial to share those wisdoms or teachings from that source. Like, very rarely on here I've done a kind of form of spoken light language, which came from a particular civilization, so the feline race. But that's unusual. So the album that myself and my younger son wrote, scored, and did all the vocals on was really, in a way, almost like singing light language. I suppose that's the closest I can come. Sounds and pitch, and even the way the music is scored to elicit the release of certain things. So, that having been said, the title of the video today, Who Put the Lights Out? I have felt within me for some time, and this is how it is for people that work this way, that as part of the overall picture that is going on, so in my sense and in my interpretation and in my strong feeling, the deliberate releasing and the deliberate forming, not a natural, but a forming of a virus to target particular people. My sense along with that is that the bigger picture behind that is to make sweeping changes in the financial system and in the world per se, as an attempt by an old grid of consciousness, the linear grid of consciousness, to make a grab for the development of the quantum heart timeline that we're now on. So to try and scoop some people back. I called it the pooper scooper yesterday. And if you were to ask me what I felt was behind I'm going to say the word people loosely, that orchestrated that, and behind the actual government, so it goes back behind the governments. It's really a malevolent form of extraterrestrial that's been here for millennia, for a very long time, and part of the huge revelation and truths that will come out over the next so many years, not all this year, this is just one thing this year, will be the truth of that and the realization of that, and the crumbling away of anything that subscribes to that, really, that malevolence within themselves or externally, and those that work for them, the narcissists, the psychopaths, the sociopaths, those that all want the power, money and sex, really, those at the top end of the game there that work for them. So part of that overall agenda is to bring in these sweeping changes. So as we speak at the moment, and this may have increased, probably about a fifth of the world's population are effectively under house arrest, including the United Kingdom, where I'm broadcasting this from. Due to, they say, this virus, which is a real virus, but I'm going to be honest here, I don't resonate with a fifth of the world or more being under house arrest because of it. That's just the excuse they're using to bring in what they want to bring in. So as part of that, I feel, and it's making me, excuse me, laugh, because it's already started to happen in the UK, that when you have a captive audience, shall we say, that are virtually under house arrest in their house, they are using their main way of communicating with relatives, friends. Excuse me, clear my throat again. It's because I'm recording in the morning, sorry, in the morning on YouTube. I don't ever record in the morning because I'm very croaky in the morning. Nothing to do with the virus. This has been a long-term thing. It's because I'm in a house that has a lot of mould. I'm in an area of the country that has a lot of mould. England is a very mouldy country. It's like a piece of mouldy cheese, which is terribly unhealthy for the population, and it's terribly toxic. So because I've been breathing it in all night, this is despite always cleaning the darn stuff off, it comes back. I'm very croaky. It wears off in a few hours by lunchtime, but I'm croaky in the morning. So as part of this overall agenda, there is a captive audience in their home that are mainly communicating with people via the internet or via mobile phones, via Skype, via Zoom, via all the ways you can, and doing that more than they've done probably ever before, because that's the only way they can get to see them. If you're in an area of the world where you're not allowed to go and see your friends or relatives, we're not allowed to here, then the only way that you can communicate is via phone or via the internet. Of course, that requires, the internet requires electricity. So I personally feel, and I've been feeling this for a couple of weeks now, that there will come a time, and I've already warned my family about it, any time now, it feels like it will probably be sooner rather than later, probably in April, probably, where they will pull the electricity and switch the lights out. So the reason I'm bringing this video out is because it might just be for a number of hours, but I feel what they'd really like to do it for is about 2-3 days, maybe a little bit more. Why would they do this, you would say? Well, because it would elicit a state of panic. Suddenly what you're relying on to communicate with your friends and family is gone. Because people are in a heightened state because they think Armageddon is upon them from the apocalyptic virus, which is part of the rhetoric that's deliberately being fed. Not to say there isn't a virus, there is, and it is real, but it's not to the extent that's being whipped into a frenzy about. So when you have people already in a heightened state of fear, then they're dependent on something, and then you take that away, you really send them into free fall. So a lot of people will be thinking, what the hell has happened in the world? Why has all the power been cut? We can't hear any news. Why can't I get a signal on my phone? If the phones go down as well, that's entirely possible for a bit. And people will go into free fall about it. So it will only be temporary, and if it happens, now why am I saying if it happens? Why am I saying, oh, it's going to happen? Because it's fluctuating. The events that are happening now were designed to come in long before 2020. So the malevolent release of the virus and everything else, this agenda that's behind it, the one world order agenda behind it, one government, one identity card, one lot of implants in everybody on the planet, yap yap. That was meant to happen many years ago, but because thousands of people were working to prevent that, and I'm going to include myself as one of them, having known of this agenda for 25 years, I'm going to include myself in the thousands that were working to stop that. It's been delayed, and it's been delayed to a point where 60 to 65% of all humanity are already on the journey into the heart, or are signed up to it on a heart level. So the malevolent energy behind the governments that are part of that linear grid are making a grab with a big pooper scooper to scoop up those that hadn't made their decision on a heart level yet, and to really create as much fear and havoc in the ones that are in the heart and in the ones that aren't. Not the one's better than the other, I'm just, explaining that they're trying to go for everybody. So they won't cut. The reason it keeps fluctuating is because I like to talk in terms of percentages and size. So in terms of percentages and size, I'd say there was about a 60% 60 to 70% chance of this happening. The reason I'm not going 100% is because it's not 100%. It keeps changing. It keeps fluctuating. But there is a chance that this is going to happen. So what I would do is, first of all, not panic. And actually this happened to us yesterday. I was in the middle of a session with somebody. The whole neighbourhood went down. All the power went out for the neighbourhood. It wasn't for that long, but it just gave us a taster that all the power went down. Now, the excuse they'll give for this is that, all the workers that supply the electricity are sick with the virus. Baloney. As an essential service to keep most of the world running, really, especially if you live in, let's say countries like the Western world. I mean, unless you're out in a tribe somewhere in the middle of the jungle that isn't using electricity or anything like that, most of the world is affected. And we already were. We lost all the power yesterday. That was the first little taste of it. Of course, if we lose the power here, you lose your heating, you lose the electric shower, so you lose that, hot water. You lose the immersion that heats the hot water. You lose the lights. You lose the lot. So why I am saying this is, first, if it happens, which it's leaning towards, but that's not a guarantee it will happen. This might pass us by and not happen. If it happens, number one, don't panic. Don't be scared. It's not the end of the world. It's not Armageddon. It is part of their plan to spin you still further into fear and because they feed on fear. It's like gobbling it up for breakfast, like having your porridge. It's like gobbling it up. Don't feed into fear. Don't panic. Don't panic about any of it. If you happen to have a couple of torches or candles, that would be very happy, but don't panic. It won't be for long. It may only be for hours for some of you, but I think the plan is to try and spin it over 2 to 3 days. Now, why wouldn't they do it longer than that if it's going to really, you know, help them significantly, these malevolent energies? Because they need the internet themselves. They need the electricity themselves. They need to operate, but that's not going to stop them taking out pockets of a country or swathes of a country at a time temporarily, you know, the bits they don't need to use, but they won't do it for long. So don't panic about that and think, oh no, now I've got to get used to this. Really, it's come close to this before, but like I say, we've missed this point before. We managed to delay what they were trying to bring in a number of years ago significantly, and not just people like myself working towards that, but a much bigger picture than that. You know, certain political decisions and political parties that got in managed to change the timeline again, actually for the better, not for the worst. And like I say, it's all part of the bigger picture. So one thing I want to say, if you are somewhere that the lights go out, that it all goes down for a couple of hours or a couple of days or more, a little bit more, no one can extinguish or put the light out in your heart. No one can extinguish or put the light out that you are, that you generate. And if you were in a situation where you lost communication temporarily with your loved ones that aren't living in the same house as you because you're on this house arrest, this quarantine thing that they're doing in large swathes of the world, they can sense you in their heart. You have this, almost I could say like telepathy, where your loved ones know you love them and you know that they love you. And they are always within that place of your heart. You are always connected. Even if they try and physically disconnect your means of communication, we are far greater than that. So you are able to communicate from your heart. You do have that inner reserve and that inner power and that inner light to be able to see you through this time. Just go back into your heart or come back into that calm space. Come back into a space of balance and know that this is just temporary, and it's all part of the malevolent game that they're trying to play, that we know they're trying to play, and it's just something that we're moving through at this point in time. Don't be scared. If anything, be angry. If anything, be inspired to do your own research and to look into the bigger picture. Perhaps you've never noticed this for the first time. Perhaps I'm sowing the seeds of something you've never noticed before. You know, be annoyed that somebody has deliberately released this onto the world to bring in an agenda, basically to enslave you even more than you're already enslaved. Be annoyed about that, but don't let it consume you. Let me remind you, we are already on the highest timeline for humanity. This thing that's happening at the moment is just one little boulder in the flow of consciousness of that timeline. It's not stopping the timeline, it's not blocking it. You just flow like the stream of consciousness you are around the boulder. It's not stopping anything. And like I say, it won't be the only thing that unfolds over the next so many years as a way of the old system being exposed and what's really behind it, and that coming down, so that this is all a result of the timeline we're on. This timeline is blasting through anything that isn't the truth and isn't authentic, that's inside you and externally in the world. So you will have your own inner stuff coming up, you know, your own inner shadow, your own inner darkness. If you hadn't already cleared some of that stuff, this is going to be a golden opportunity to do that, because you are being forced to go into that state of introspection. You know, large parts of your, let's say, ordinary life, the distraction of that, have been taken away temporarily while you're under this enforced kind of house arrest. So you've got a golden opportunity here to kind of really get to know who you are and get to be honest with yourself and look at the life you're in and think about what changes you would like to make, etc., etc. And that will bring up, you know, your own inner stuff, your own inner darkness, your own inner fears, which will be fed upon by the fear being whipped into a frenzy and hype through all the news channels, etc., etc. So, number one, do your research, be discerning, broaden your mind, expand your consciousness, broaden your horizons. Don't go into a state of panic and fear. Be level-headed as much as you can. There's a saying, isn't it? Forewarned is forearmed. So I'm giving you the heads up that this may be something that's happened. It's already happened here. But that may be extended some more yet. Don't panic. Don't worry. It will just be temporary. The light within you, the inner light that you emanate, that you are, can never be extinguished. Once you've committed inside yourself to the journey of the heart, which millions and millions upon millions have, and once you're on that journey to the heart, and once you've begun your beginnings of your sitting in the rungs of your own heart consciousness there, your expanded consciousness, no one and nothing can extinguish that, not in this world or the next or in any dimensional reality, any timeline. You know, once you're in it, you're in it. And nothing can take that away from you. So you're emanating your own light, let's say your own divinity within there anyway. So despite the external circumstances, you are not the storm. You are right in the center, in the quiet heart. You're in the eye of the storm. You're not what is rotating and being hyped up around you. Obviously, again, if you are someone that is profoundly affected by the world situation at the moment and you've been on lockdown for a number of weeks, or you can't get to see friends and relatives, or someone you know is sick with this virus that they've released, or you're unwell yourself, love and prayers to you and strength to you. This time is going to pass quicker than you realise, and once it's done, and there will be more amazing things that come out of this than terrible. It is an uncomfortable process that a lot of people are going through, but it is a result of the consequences of humanity going up a gear in their consciousness. This is not a result of something going wrong. It's actually a result of being on the right timeline. But being on the right timeline means those things that didn't want to change or be revealed are trying their damnedest, excuse me, mould, damnedest not to be. On that note, I'm going to love you and leave you because I'm going to whip straight on to do another video. So take care, and I'll probably see you again soon. I didn't know I was going to be back on here today, but I'll probably see you again soon. Until then, bye guys, bye.